Good morning. Good morning and happy Thursday. How y'all doing today? Who do we have in the house?
Pee-wee, Jeanette, Tiffany,
Pee-wee, I love that
Kristen,
name. Where are you from?
Stacy, Crystal,
What's your heritage? Julia.
Julia Gulia.
You feel like a shrew today. Kayla.
No, it's from a movie.
Oh, is it?
It's from The Wedding Singer. Oh, so, wait, what? Somehow his last name came up, the last name she was going to be taking. Like, what's his last name? Gulia. So your name is going to be Julia Gulia.
So, today's all about empowerment. And the purpose of today is really to empower and inspire you.
We just had an earthquake.
So, I want you to go back real quick.
Amanda says, good morning, Boogie.
So, I want you to go back real quick to a time in your life when you felt very vulnerable. So go back to that time real quick in your head. And if you can drop a comment and tell us, like, what point of your life was it?
When you felt really vulnerable?
Mm-hmm. So, like, for me, for example, I felt very vulnerable when I was still growing up. Like, I haven't molded into my personality yet, right? So I wasn't very clear on who I was. So I couldn't stand up for myself. And then the other piece was when I was unhappy with myself.
What in those instances made you feel vulnerable?
That, let's say when I was being made fun of, I didn't know how to handle it. I took it.
Was it more humiliation or vulnerability?
There was humiliation too.
I see vulnerability as like when you are stepping out into, for example, let's take Lieutenant Michael Murphy.
Okay.
He literally put himself out into the open in like, harm's way. Basically, it was physical harm at this point, but he put himself out into a vulnerable position where his body was exposed. He was exposed. Either your emotions or your physical state or your mental state is exposed because of a position you've put yourself in. That's vulnerability. So what I actually think is like when you take a step out into ask for help. You're admitting
maybe vulnerability is not the right word then.
Okay.
It's more around humiliation.
English is not Sarit's first language, so we're working through this.
Right. Like
criticized, humiliated.
I think humiliation is a really like that's
embarrassed.
Embarrassed.
Okay.
That would be more around it.
Embarrassment.
Let me open up the dictionary real quick.
Embarrassment.
Synonyms for embarrassment.
Embarrassment is a symptom of criticism, I think. I'm going to read what you guys say because I feel like there's some input coming in.
Good.
I felt vulnerable in various places in life.
Which ones?
It was kind of the same as you when kids made fun of me. I was at my heaviest. I feel like that's more like embarrassment.
Yeah, I think it's
Powerless. Yeah, I think everybody's thinking, okay, insecure, weak, majority of my life. But I think, yeah, what you're thinking of is like insecure, like embarrassed, ashamed, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, I feel like, is a position you put yourself in. Embarrassment is something that you take on from somebody else.
Because this is the most vulnerable time of my life. Like, some of the stories that I tell you guys are extremely vulnerable to the point where it's like no fucks are given at this point anymore.
Yeah. Vulnerability is like you share something, you don't know how it's going to be accepted. Right. You've put yourself out there.
Right.
Oh, this is a good example of vulnerability, though. Yesterday I went out, I was wearing shorts out in public, and I never do that because I have cellulite. It's like you put yourself in a position to be criticized, right? Embarrassment or insecurity or, what was the other one that we said? Is more
shame.
Is more like a feeling that you have based off of expressions from other people.
So let's really open up the dictionary real quick and identify, what does embarrassment mean?
What does it mean to be embarrassed?
Okay.
To be embarrassed, by the way, is something you have control over. Unless you're unaware.
Ooh. An excessive quantity from which to select confusion or disturbance of the mind. This is powerful. So, real quick, go back to the time, and this is powerful for me because it's in full alignment with what I said with regards to my own experience of embarrassment, right? Like, go back to the most embarrassing time in your life. For me, it was when I was growing up and I didn't fully mold into myself yet, so I didn't know who I was. I was just doing things to please other people, right? And I was made fun of often, right? And that was because my mind was disturbed because I wasn't in alignment with who I felt I was, and I was trying to please other people, right? And then also when I was struggling with my weight because my mind was disturbed, right? Like, I thought of myself in one way, but meanwhile my body looked a certain way. So there was misalignment between how I looked and who I knew I was deep down inside. So I felt disturbed about it. And that was embarrassing. You're thinking.
I think embarrassment is something that you can allow or you can destroy. For example, if I trip and I fall, I can choose to be embarrassed by letting people laugh at me, make me feel uncomfortable, right? Or disturbed. Or I can be like, oh shit, that was funny. I would have laughed at me too. You can't help it. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. Like when you see somebody fall, it's like, oh shit. Unless it's like an elderly and it's like in a dangerous situation, then I think the natural instinct is like, oh, holy shit, are they okay? But, you know, when you see somebody like slip on ice or like, you know, do this number, it's like, it's funny, right? And you're like, your reaction is to laugh, and the person falling can accept that laughter as being ashamed because I had an accident, or you could take it as what it is and not take it personally, and then you won't be embarrassed. So, but I think it takes a bit of mental maturity to understand the difference between the two, or how to control that, right? If you run into a glass door because it's so freaking clean, you're like, oh shit, whoops, like, and you laugh at yourself and you're like, I didn't see that there. Other people are laughing, you're like, that's pretty fucking funny, wasn't it? Right? In that case, you're not embarrassed. But if you take it as humiliation because, oh, I made a mistake, that's your choice.
Mm-hmm. So back to what we were saying at first, now that we, you know, kind of like pinpointed what word we're looking for and what it means, take yourself back to a time.
Can I extend my tangent just a little bit? Because I want to bring it around to something that relates to you guys. So if we're talking about, I just thought about this, if we're talking about our bodies, right? And we're talking about, okay, embarrassment in a sense that somebody's teasing you or making fun of you or whatever because you're overweight. For one, that's rude on their end. For two, the embarrassment is actually not as easy to deny because it's something you have control over.
Mm-hmm.
If I run into a door because it's so clean, I'm like, shit, who cleaned that so clean? I couldn't even tell if it was open or not. It was an accident. I'm going to say this and it might sound harsh, but 99% of the time being overweight is not an accident. And somebody might be offended by that, but it's the truth. And now, I'm also not here to say that I get to choose at what weight or at what visual you are the happiest. That's not for me to decide. That's not for Sarit to decide. That's for you to decide. But when you're not in a place where you feel the best with you and somebody teases that or makes fun of that, it's embarrassing and it hurts because you have control.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And why it's easier to be embarrassed about something like that, because you know you could do something about it, but you haven't been able to because unfortunately you haven't come across the right people who have given you the right tools and strategies. And for that, I feel terrible for you. I'm glad you're here watching this right now because we can help you. But I think that's or you've just not committed. So it's easier to be embarrassed rather than be like, oh shit, oops, that was a mistake. It's not a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mistake you ate donuts every morning for breakfast.
Shout out to Courtney for resisting all these donuts yesterday, by the way. Amazing. Okay, real quick, I want to read some comments because like a shit ton of comments are coming in, and then let's bring up another point.
Okay. I get embarrassed very easily because I think I try to set high standards for myself, whether it be at work or when I play in sports, just in general. So I have gained extra weight. I've been extremely embarrassed and hard on myself because appearance, especially in front of my partner.
Because you're disturbed with who you know yourself to be and what your body is manifesting at this given moment. Right, and that's why embarrassment, again, is a confusion or disturbance of the mind. Like, this is really powerful. It makes complete sense why you would feel this way, which will lead to the next point. However, I really do want to read their comments.
And confusion and disturbance is really because of misalignment.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy, I know there's been many times I've been embarrassed because I forgot. Oh, but I forgot about them because I chose to not dwell on it. Okay, that's great. I love you guys. Let's go. Ken, what's up, buddy?
Jocelyn.
Most embarrassing, humiliating moment was after my wedding when a woman walked by and said, I'm lucky my husband married me because of how fat I was.
Oh, wow.
For one, shame on them, piece of shit.
Yeah, that's just rude.
Like, yeah, it's a choice. And we'll be honest and we'll say, yes, like being overweight is 99% of the time a choice. But that's a fact. That's not like me just being rude.
Mm-hmm.
Has a lot to do with self-esteem. Sure, absolutely. But as we build confidence, Nicole, as we overcome things, as we get over hurdles and things.
We'll get to that.
Great. I get ahead of myself. True. I'm so glad that you guys agree with me and nobody wants to slap me in the face. I'm sure at some point somebody will. Yes, my neighbor was calling me fat last night. Where's your neighbor live? I'm gonna fuck him up.
And I kind of just had let it hurt, but remind myself that I'm working on my weight and my mental health. And that's what matters.
Good turn, Jess. That's your choice. That's a great choice.
Yes.
You don't have to make that choice. You could have gone and cried and eaten a whole pizza to yourself, but you chose to move forward. And the lady's a dick. She clearly had issues. Yeah, when somebody makes fun of you, it's because they've got their own insecurities. That's another topic.
Yeah.
Jeanette's replying to Nicole. No self-confidence, self-esteem. My head was hoping people would not notice me. Oftentimes when we feel embarrassed about ourselves, we think that everybody else thinks what we think about ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right?
Because we have that story that we create in our head.
It's like if I have a pimple and I know it, it's like I'm going to think that everybody just sees my pimple because that's what I see.
Why do you think dudes who look jacked walk at the beach like this? Because they're like, everybody thinks I'm hot because I got pecs for days, right? Like that's the story that they tell themselves in their own head.
I mean, that can work to somebody's advantage at that point.
Well, of course.
There's also a difference between confidence and arrogance. But another topic. Okay, I've been embarrassed about my weight to the point where I don't be social. That's very common, Tiffany.
I was there.
Yeah. Like people, women especially, will say no to certain events like pool parties and things like, I don't want to be, for one, I don't want to be the only one wearing a snowsuit at a pool party. And for two, like, I'm afraid that people are going to think a certain thing, that they're going to think what I think about me. Most embarrassing time was at my biggest size and my husband wanted to be intimate. Turn off the lights. How many of you want to have sex with the lights off because you're like, dang. I've been around toxic, negative people the past 18 months and working out and eating right. Haven't been losing weight. I've been feeling okay. So I would say, Jess, that you need to reach out to somebody who can help you with that. Is outside of our scope of practice. But we will do everything we can to help you change your state, because you got this.
Okay, so you guys get the whole embarrassing thing, and just once again, basically, according to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the term embarrassments mean confusion or disturbance of the mind. So now, back to my own personal experience, I felt most embarrassed when either my mind, where I either did things in approval of others when I knew that it wasn't authentic to me, like in my case, also being a gay woman, right? Having known that, but also growing up in a society where, of course, I'm Jewish, so like being gay is kind of like frowned upon. So, like being my full self, took some time because I didn't feel comfortable in myself to show my true colors, right? So I was disturbed for a very long time. And then that's kind of like intertwined with my weight loss journey, right? When my body didn't look like what it was capable of doing, right? When what the mirror showed me wasn't how I really thought about myself, I felt embarrassed about myself. So now here's the thing about embarrassment. The problem with embarrassment is that when you are embarrassed about yourself, you're not as confident in yourself. Now, confidence is something that's earned, right? And that's why for me, I had to reach a certain physical state before I was able to come out as a gay woman. Because I was too embarrassed to even show up for myself. Because, when I was struggling with weight, I had no confidence whatsoever. And to come out, I know that not everybody's gay here, but that requires some level of confidence. Because the responses are up to other people, right? However, confidence is something that's earned. And if you're walking around living your life being embarrassed, then guess what? You are going to rob yourself of confidence in any other area of your life. And that is why achieving a body that you're proud of is so important as a woman. And that's why we're going so strong for this. Because we know from our own personal experience that when your body is not in alignment with who you know that you really are, you're living a life of embarrassment. And when you're living a life of embarrassment, I was talking to one of my clients about this yesterday. When you don't know how to say no to yourself, you don't know how to say no to other people. And it makes complete sense too, because again, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it's like, if you don't know how to be disciplined enough to follow something that you tell to yourself, how can you be comfortable saying no to other people? And you know what? I remember a mentor of ours back in the past has said to us, you know that you've become successful when you say no more than you say yes to people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So saying no is actually one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself, because it means a few things. It means that for one, you're very clear about what it is that you want, right? And it means for two, that you're confident enough to speak up for yourself. And if that means that the other person on the other side is going to be slightly disappointed, you're going to be able to handle that. So that requires confidence. However, confidence is something that's earned. You're not just going to be able to say no to people if you don't even know how to say no to yourself, because you don't have that discipline. Does that make sense why, let's say, people who are more fit, if they're being offered a cookie, they have no problem saying no? While people who have been struggling, and the reason why I'm saying have been struggling is because they haven't been following the right route yet to empower them and give them confidence to say no.
No.
So they end up going for the cookie because they're scared of disappointing somebody else. But you have to be okay with it. But you'll never be okay with it until you earn some level of confidence, which requires vulnerability.
And small steps. No is one of the most powerful words that you can use, but one of the most difficult to know how and when to use it, especially as women, because we want to do everything for everybody else as a maternal instinct. But if you think, who says no more times out of anybody ever in the world? What demographic of human beings says no more than anyone? They are normally less than 4 feet tall. Kids. They are insanely clear on what they want. Except for it's very basic, right? You don't want to clean your room? Guess what they're going to say?
No!
No! No, no, no. And it's crazy. Somewhere we lose that. You don't want to do something? Say no. But somewhere along this like growing up, it's like we feel a sense of obligation to people because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. In America in general, I will say, has become so ridiculously, I'm going to say the word fucking because
sensitive.
It's aggressive, sensitive. So sensitive. And I know, because I was one of them, so I'm going to bring Erin's church to town for just a second here. Americans need to suck it the fuck up and stop taking things so goddamn personally. Even you, just now, hearing me say that. And if you're laughing, that's because you've learned the art of not taking things personally and not being so sensitive to things. No, nothing that anybody does or says or treats you, no way that anybody treats you, is any kind of reflection of you, but only of them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? So Sarit and I are here and we get really passionate because we want to help you. We treat ourselves the same way. We're like, bitch, suck it up. Come on.
You guys should
Right?
have
Like-
seen if you guys were to see our dinner, like the conversation that we had over dinner last night, I would say that we had like, you know, kind of like a real talk dinner.
It's a conversation that could have easily turned into an argument for a lot of couples.
Right. And in my head for a second, I was thinking if anybody was to listen to us, they would probably be surprised because we were being so like cool, calm, collected and loving about it, but we were very harsh with what we were saying.
Yeah, the words coming out of our mouths were like, you would think that like somebody's gonna, like, there's gonna be a breakup or some dishes thrown or something. It's just like, we're two fucking adults having a conversation. And if you take it offensively, rather than rationalizing and understanding that they're just words coming out of somebody's mouth, trying to be clear and truthful and honest, how can you be upset with that? Right? So it's like the back and forth. And I didn't even feel upset at all at any point in that conversation.
No.
It was more like I'm analyzing myself.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, like, where can I be better? What could I have done in that situation? You know,
Yeah.
where can I improve? And it's called ownership, motherfuckers. It's responsibility for your own damn self. I don't even know who's commenting or what right now. I just went to Erin's church, came to town. Okay, where were we? Oh, the word no. Somehow, when we grow up, we feel an obligation to other people because we don't want to hurt their feelings by saying no. You want to come to my party? If you say no, it's like you're afraid they're going to be offended because we're sensitive.
Or you're afraid they're not gonna like you.
Right? Oh, they're not gonna invite me back to their party. If they don't like you, guess what?
But I believe that until you have reached a point where you've earned self-love, you're always going to care about what other people are going to say.
Their opinion matters to you more than your opinion matters to yourself.
And when I hear or see that, you know, from a conversation or a client or anybody, I'm like, they're just not at a point yet where they've reached full self-love. And Sarah Novik, if you're watching this, and I know you are, that's why I've been challenging you with the questions that I have been. For a reason, because when you have reached a state of self-love, you surrender. And whatever people perceive you to be, say about you, doesn't matter, because deep down, you've earned your character. You know what you've been through, and you know what it took in order to get there. So you have this level of confidence that nothing that will ever be said about you or to you will touch you, because that doesn't matter, because you have such a deep and strong relationship with yourself that nobody else's opinions matter. And the people who care about the opinion of others the most are normally the ones who have a negative opinion about themselves. So they're seeking affirmation from others because theirs is not formulated in a positive way yet. If you guys were to, let's say, call us out, you know, and say, you know, negative remarks, we're not going to care. We're still going to show up.
You know what?
Right? Because we've earned a certain level of confidence by developing self-love.
I want to read something.
Yeah.
I literally just read this morning. Okay, the book is called The War of Art. And if you want to know how to take some ownership and responsibility for yourself and not have your feelings so hurt, you need to read this. Okay, so it says, when people say an artist has thick skin, what they mean is not that the person is dense or numb, but he has seated his professional consciousness in a place other than his personal ego. Your consciousness is in a place other than your ego. They're separate. It takes tremendous strength of character to do this because our deepest instincts run counter to it. Evolution has programmed us to feel rejection in our guts. This is how the tribe enforced obedience, by welding the threat of expulsion. Fear of rejection isn't just psychological, it's biological. It is in our cells.
Hold on. There's one sentence that I need you to read again, and I'm gonna bring a main point from that. Where did you start?
Up here.
When people say an artist has a thick skin, what they mean is not that the person is dense or numb, but that he has seated his professional consciousness in a place other than his personal ego. So what I'm about to say is the reason why 99% of women struggle with weight loss. The reason is, you guys ready for it? You're ready for it? And it's not just women, it's most people in general. It's because their purpose of weight loss is wrong in the first place. And I said it in my interview and I experienced it for myself. When you are trying to lose weight, again, there's a difference between trying and doing. The word is commitment, right? And when you don't have the right purpose, you're not committed. You're not committed, right? When you don't have the right purpose, let's say, I'm going to give some examples because I'm seeking approval of others. For most women, it's because they are seeking approval of others. Whether it's people who told them no in the past, an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, or something, guess what? If that is your intention, or to look prettier, or to feel better about myself too, it's the wrong purpose. Any client who comes to me and they're like, I need to lose weight because I want to be here for my kids, or because I don't want to end my family's fate like the way that my parents died. Or
I want to be a good example to my daughters, my kids.
Right. Or because I need to heal my back. These are people who have the right purpose. Everybody else are going to still struggle because their weight loss journey is led by ego. And that's why macros and all that bullshit doesn't work. I mean, it works once you become really advanced and you need to dial it in. Yes.
You gotta earn it.
But the foundation doesn't work that way. The foundation is being intentional and getting real with yourself with the fact that you really don't love yourself and that you're misaligned. And until you'll be more committed to the journey of self-love than the story that you've been telling yourself, all these bullshit things, I need to lose weight, I need to blah, blah, blah. No, you have the wrong purpose. Your purpose is led by ego. And for as long as your purpose of doing anything is led by ego, guess what? You have the wrong intention and you will make more excuses than anything else. Because your ego will talk you out of doing the right things.
Yeah, it's easy to make excuses if you don't have a strong enough why or actually truly understand the purpose. We don't ever try to lose weight just to lose weight. Who cares if you're lighter or heavier? We care that we have confidence. We care that we are setting ourselves and our families up for success in the future. Yep. We care that we're around to watch our families grow and develop and see things. And we're here to feel good and independent at an older age. Right? So when you change your perspective of why you want something, it drives you harder and nothing will get in your way, or everything will get in your way. So if you feel like everything's been getting in your way, I do really good until, then coronavirus. I've heard so many people say I gained weight because of coronavirus. No, bitch, you gained weight because you didn't know how to control yourself during the quarantine.
And you didn't know how to control yourself because you're not very clear on why you want this. Or if you do, you don't have the right intention yet. And that's why people who struggle with weight loss need help. And you need help. Yes, you might need to clean up your nutrition, but we can teach somebody to clean up their nutrition in an hour or two. But self-love and healing takes time.
Yeah.
And that's why when you
practice.
And practice, because you have to get through vulnerable shit. You have to be okay with getting through tough shit, because this is how you learn about yourself. You don't learn about yourself from amazing experiences. That's just the reward. Guess what? The reward of anything in life comes after you expend a lot of any of the resources, right? Like your rewards in your credit card. After you spend a lot of money, you get rewards. True. You don't get rewards from not spending anything, True. Right? Your rewards for your body too gets after you expend a shit ton of time and energy committing to your journey. A reward only comes after going through shit. So what makes people think that words like easily lose weight and get to the body of your dreams in 20 days? Bitch, when you hear that, you know that this is wrong, because if you succumb to any of that, for one, you're succumbing to it because your ego is driving you. Ego wants things fast. Ego wants things easily. Ego wants it to be delivered at your door. However, real changes require sacrifices, require vulnerability, require extreme hard work. It's something that's earned, not given. And that's why this is a marathon, right? And that's why it's important to enjoy the process.
Yeah. Rewards come with action. The greatest rewards come only with consistent action over a long period of time. Wow. So when you have a big why, now, my point after Sarit's church came to town just now, before Sarit's church came to town, when I'm saying, if you're struggling with this, you're letting everything get in your way, check your purpose for why you want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, right? And ask yourself, is it because I want approval? Because that's not ever going to get you anywhere, because once you start getting any kind of approval, wow, girl, you're looking good, you just go back to your old habits, because now your purpose is gone. You've got the approval, yep. So now you don't care anymore, yep. Right? That's so many times when we start to feel better about ourselves or look good or whatever, and we start to get that validation, then we're like, okay, I can eat this, I can have those, and we start making these exceptions again because we've gotten the validation we were seeking. And then we go backwards and we're still, for some reason, not happy with ourselves. So you have to change the reason in which you're doing it for. What is the real reason? We all have a real reason. It's just a matter of you finding it. Right? You finding the deepest one. Ask yourself why like 10 times.
You guys want to hear another secret?
Do you want to hear a secret?
And that is also why what the scale says doesn't matter if you're in a truly happy place. Do you think that if you're in a truly happy place, it matters whether you're 140 or 125? No, it doesn't.
You're happy. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But when you're an amateur, you have this vision that life looks a certain way when you weigh a certain amount. Just like most people think that they want to be rich because when they have $1 million, and by the way, rich does not mean $1 million. It should mean $100 million.
Rich to you means whatever rich means
they think that life now looks different, and that is not the case at all. It always goes back to one thing and one thing only: purpose. What is your purpose of being on this journey? If your purpose is driven by ego, you're gonna be full of shit, because your ego is full of shit. Right? Like, you have to search deep down within your heart. What is it that really makes you want to get through it? Because you're going to have to get through a lot of shit. And the ego will only drive you to get through things that are convenient, that are comfortable. I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. I drink fat-free creamer in my coffee every single day.
That's not normal. A lot of times it's actually the food industry fucking up what our idea of health is.
There is so much that goes into it.
There's also a lot of excuses being made. There's also false ideas of what healthy is. Also talk to a lot of people who are like, I eat pretty healthy. Meanwhile, they're like 250 pounds. I'm like, it's not possible. So Your idea of healthy might just need to be shifted,
Yeah.
right? But, you know, if you want to start making progress, the first thing you need to do is figure out why. Why do you want it? Why do you actually want it? It's not superficial. There's something deep in there. The second thing is start giving yourself small victories to build confidence, right? Little victories to prove to yourself that you can, you're capable, you know, overcoming things, right? Whether it's, you know, on paper maybe looks small to somebody else but feels big inside you, then that could be taken dirty. But, you know, having small victories to give yourself that confidence to then take bigger steps. But you have to know why. Because eventually, if you don't know why, the step is going to be too big and you're not going to be willing to take it.
Mm-hmm. It always has to be tied into a way, way deeper, bigger purpose, right? Has to. And the reason why most people don't do it is because it could be painful, it could be scary, it could be both, and we don't want to face it. Yeah, very vulnerable, right? It's because I'm tired of being ashamed of the way that people look at me every single day, or I'm tired of being ashamed of looking at myself. And that's why, you know, Kayla, you said it, you got really vulnerable, and that's why I know, and I'm calling you Six Pack Kayla, because your purpose, and if you're in the raw transformation, we're going to talk about it today. Your purpose has to be egoless and has to be clear, but it'll never be clear once it's driven by ego, because you're always going to be blocked. You're going to be blocked, and that's why so many women struggle with weight loss. Not because it's hard. Yes, they probably have been misled, but because they're being driven by ego. They're focusing on the wrong things. So they keep repeating the cycle, right? Weight loss, when done right, ask anybody who's been successful in this group. Weight loss is a journey of self-love. And it's hard. And it takes time. And when you reach a certain goal, you realize that you can do better. Right? It's not a 2-week thing or an 8-week thing or a 12-week thing. It's a lifelong thing.
But if you do a 2-week thing or an 8-week thing or a 12-week thing,
that's amazing.
It should lead you into something else greater. It shouldn't be the end of the road.
Right.
So a lot of people see it like that. I'm going to do Whole 30. And the end of the road is after 30 days. Then what happens? It's the end of the road. There's no more purpose. Right? So whatever you choose to do, whatever journey you choose to embark on, or who you choose to coach with or whatever, I pray to God, if it's not us, it's somebody who's not going to fuck you up even worse, because that's most places you're going to get to, that you see it as the beginning of a longer journey. There is no end point. There is no end point. Sarit and I are still going, still on the journey, still learning, still improving, still making mistakes, still growing. Yep. You just get better and better and better at it. You gotta give yourself time.
There was something else that I wanted to say before we close this off. What was it?
Probably that. My hair looks
Your relationship with food also is defined based off of the relationship that you have with yourself. Because the relationship that you have with yourself is the first relationship you've ever had. So if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, don't expect to have a good relationship with food.
Or anything or anyone else.
Or if you don't have a good relationship with food, it's normally because you don't have a good relationship with yourself. And that's why people who struggle with disordered eating patterns, I'm not calling anybody out because this is me saying this from my own personal experience. I struggled with my relationship with food for a very long time because I didn't love myself. So I sabotaged through food. And the same thing goes for food addiction or sugar addiction. It's because your relationship with food, or how you talk to your food, how you treat your food, says everything about your relationship with yourself. Nobody who loves themselves will treat their bodies like shit, because our bodies are just a vessel. It's a vessel to our soul. And if you're fully in love with yourself, then you will not trash it. And that's why there's nothing wrong with eating a brownie or a cookie or ice cream if it's intentional. And that's why so many people feel guilty for eating that. They have this expectation that's driven by ego, once again, this perfectionism mindset. I said it wrong, but I don't give a shit.
Perfectionism.
Right?
Adorable.
Right? It's driven by ego.
You will have no relationship better than the one that you have with yourself.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if it's a significant other, if it's a family, you're going to treat anything and everything like you treat yourself. And if you're rude to yourself, and if you're insecure about yourself, or if you're ashamed of yourself, or you're not kind to you, you're going to go into any relationship, be it food, be it
somebody
a
else,
spouse or whatever. You're going to go into that relationship carrying the baggage you have within yourself, and no relationship is going to be any better than the one you have with you.
Yep.
So that's why I think a lot of people are in shitty relationships too.
Yep.
It's just because two people who are not okay with themselves come together, that is a whole lot of tornado mess.
Yep.
And we've all experienced it, right? Especially at a younger age, because we don't know who we are yet. We haven't developed, like we're learning, like relationships, I would say, are good at a young age. This is totally now like a relationship topic. But anyways, no relationship with anything is going to be better than the one you have with yourself.
Right. You have to love yourself before you love anything else. And that's why there is nothing wrong with treating yourself or having drinks. There's nothing wrong. It's just that most people get into that as a coping mechanism because they haven't worked on themselves. They haven't taken the time. They haven't been informed about it. They've been too busy doing busy people things.
Or it's just like a mindless activity.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're going to go to the river and we're going to get hammered. But you're mindless about it, right? There's no thought or intention put into it. It's just like, yeah. I mean, you want to have fun. That's great. But intentionalize, if that's a word. If it's not, just made it one. You're fun.
Yeah. It's almost like, I know we're going a little bit off tangent and we're kind of getting into relationship stuff, but I don't care because I think you guys are liking it. And even if you're not liking it,
there's so many similarities.
This is valuable, so we're going to get into it. But like, that's the difference of like just randomly hooking up with somebody and making love with the person that you love, right? It's like having a brownie that you've earned and you do it because you love it versus you sabotage yourself with a tray of brownie. It doesn't feel the same way, right? It's the same act done differently, way differently, because of the intention behind it.
One is done to a Biggie Smalls song, and one is done to a Usher song.
Yes. Amazing.
Baby, 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 baby. I think that's Casey and JoJo.
Yeah. But that's also why, if you've been struggling to lose weight, you probably had a shitty sex life or are having one by avoiding it.
Also doesn't help a relationship.
Because how can you fully be engaged, right, in an intimate physical act with somebody else if you're uncomfortable with yourself? And Kayla, you said it. It's true. So the most important thing that you have to think about is your purpose. It has to be egoless, and it's never about you. It's about the bigger purpose behind it. And that involves a lot of emotional attachment, and it requires a lot of vulnerability. But it's like, how do you want your life to be? Are you looking for a short-term gain, in a life of misery or a long-term gain. But the road at the beginning, I think Mark Fleeg said it, and he's an amazing example of somebody who did it right. I mean, 1 year later, look at him. You have to get through shit in order to get the reward. Everybody seeks the reward without going through shit. So they're distracted by things like scale, fat-free, sugar-free. It's all about the intention, all about it.
They want the car without paying for it.
Mm-hmm. And you can get it in a lot of things in life nowadays, and that's the shitty part. Cars, houses.
Right, it teaches us we don't have to actually pay the price to get what we want. How many people buy like cars they can't afford and struggle to pay their rent because they're like, I want a Mercedes because it makes me feel good.
Again, it's the
validation.
Same thing.
It's
validation.
Ego.
Yep.
You should see our car. We're gonna someday we're gonna put a picture of it and we're gonna be like, you know how much money we were making when we had this car? It's because we didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Because we had more important things to do than have a fancy fucking car.
It's all about the purpose. All right, I'm done.
All right. No, that was amazing.
Oh.
Guys. Yes.
No, you go first.
So, you know, I saw so many flashes of comments coming through about like, you know, this is hitting home for me, and things like that. And we're truly grateful that we even have a sliver of an ability to do that for you guys. And so all we ask is please that you share this, because if you got something good out of this, then imagine all the people you know who could also get something good out of this. So please click the share button and write something along with it that says what you received from this. Mm-hmm. So that people have an idea. Nobody just clicks on something because we look cool. Maybe if Boogie were in the picture, they would, but he's laying down right now. So, you know, if you got something out of this, please post what it was, you know, put in your 2 cents and share so that we can help spread this message to as many people as possible. We say it all the time, but I feel like it hasn't been said in a while. So let's say it together. We're on a mission to transform the lives of millions through the same movement, nutrition, and lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. That was awesome. Boom. But that's the truth. And, you know, we have felt empowered and inspired by our own journeys and are grateful for the people who helped us along the way too. You know, so we want to be those people for you and for millions of others. Mark our words, it's going to happen. But it starts with us, right? And your journey and your inspiration to others and your empowerment to others starts with you. So please help us share.
That's the power of anything good in life. It's meant to be shared, not just kept. So like if you feel like this is, you're receiving a gift, then all that we ask is that you share this gift with somebody else.
And all of these videos also get put on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We're almost at 1,000.
Yeah, that way if you're like, oh man, today was good, so that you can, you know, watch this later in your car. If you're like, I just want to, you know, be immersed in that, then go to YouTube so you don't have to scroll through the page.
Yeah.
Right? One last thing, as you guys know, Fridays are interview days. Tomorrow we do have a very special interview with somebody from our own community. Okay, Kayla Akers. I mean, she's already lost 100 pounds in her journey, and she's going down for more. I mean, everybody says that they want to lose weight, but not everybody is willing to do whatever it takes. And I know that you're not anywhere near close to where you want to be, and I'm going to keep on pushing you because I know of what you're capable of. But she's going to share an amazing story, and I personally am so stoked to learn about it because I've never gotten myself to 300 pounds. So like, imagine what life is. I mean, the amount of lessons that you learn from going to 300 to 200, I mean, it's like unreal. Like it's something that we always say is that it's not about the number on the scale, but who you become in the process. So to check out all of the lessons that she's learned and all the breakthroughs that she's had so that you can be inspired and, you know, take it to your own journey. Join us tomorrow at 6 a.m. Interviews are done through Zoom. We'll post the link today so that you'll be able to join it. If you know anybody who will benefit from this, invite them to this page too so that they can listen in.
Kayla's the perfect example of somebody who's still considered to be overweight but could be extremely happy with where they are because you don't know what somebody's journey is. So join us tomorrow, 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Pacific time. There will be a link on the Erin Sarit page, so set it on your calendar to jump into our page. There will be a link you click on to join our Zoom video where you can find out about Kayla's story and be inspired by somebody who has come so far and still has a distance
to go.
Okay? So thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pacific time.
Bye.